Well, the main reason we wanted to talk with you again was because we never got to talk about your style of commentary. So we want to make sure our listeners know how you got started doing commentary and
Okay.
what your style of commentary is. We're used to a certain style that we're hearing right now. I just wonder how your style is different.
I started working with Sumo in 1973 when I got over there, toward the end of 73, I guess, or the beginning of 74.
When you were working in Suma, that's when you were in the Hayas and you were doing artwork? Or are you talking you were doing commentary by that point?
I was dragged over to Japan, and I mean that because I didn't want to go.
Okay.
Somebody talked me into it. They said, "Go, it'll change your life." I said, "Yeah, yeah, all right, I'll go for 6 months," because it was a 6 month job.
Yeah.
Worst job I have ever had anything to do with. And I mean, every day I couldn't wait to go home. But, I had the job. I was going to do the job. I was a fashion illustrator
Yes.
for Parco and Seibu department stores. Anyway, I discovered sumo during that time, and I started networking to get into that world, which was crazy because I knew nothing about the culture. And you need to know something about the culture, especially if you're working with traditional people, because you have to know which toes not to step on and how to tread lightly and how to act and how not to be, Miss New York, and you have to conform or they really make your life miserable. And I knew nothing. But I have to tell you, it was just comes some kind of sense. Like I'm a kind of you know what an empath is? Empath.
Yes.
Yeah. If I sit next to somebody on the subway who's sick, I start feeling, I feel as sick as they do. And it used to scare me when I was younger
Yeah.
because I thought, oh my God, I'm getting sick. And when I get about a half hour after I get away from whoever that is, the symptoms go away.
Mm.
Or maybe it's the same thing. When I got there, I was lucky that somehow I picked up a sense of what not to do just by observing. Because I mean, all my work is all about observing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was getting close to the end of the 6 months, and I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there, get back to New York, because CBS Network News had offered me the first Watergate trial. They wanted me to be the court artist.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew what Watergate was going to be, but that was a job of my dreams. I want to get back and do that. February of 74. But I started networking to get into sumo. I started meeting people. Everybody I met was like another stepping stone closer to the portal of the sumo world. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I gradually got in there and I started going faithfully just about every morning to sumo practice. I think it was like 1981 or two. I don't know when they started the sumo, the English language worldwide TV coverage for sumo. It was in the early 80s.
Okay.
And they called me up, NHK called me up and said, "We're doing this." Everybody knew about me. I was starting to get a really good reputation for an artist who worked in sumo, and nobody had ever done that the way I did it. So they called me and they said, "Well, you see sumo every day." I said, "Yeah, I'm there every day, up close and personal." So they hired me right away. They hired Doreen and they hired a bunch of guys. We were the charter crew. Mhm. And I said, "I know nothing about stats. I know nothing about numbers. Don't even ask me because I can't even fake an answer
Uh-huh.
for anything they're doing with stats. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm a people person, and I can comment on the people who are the sumo wrestlers." And they said, "Yeah, that's cool. You're a color commentator. That's all we need." So I don't pay attention to stats because I don't care. I mean, sometimes I care, but I honestly I can't be bothered. My style, I never thought about it. I just I went to sumo every day. Um, I talked to the who's who every day, whether they were low ranking, high ranking, whoever was worthy of observing, because I was drawing them all the time.
Yeah.
And then, since they got to know me, they were kind of gang up on me after practice. Say, "Oh, let me see, let me see. Oh, look, oh, that's you. Look, 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 look. Where's mine?" And this would be the daily ritual. Depending on the stable, because like Tora and Jesse were saying this morning, it's just like you go to different friends' houses, and the attitude towards you of the household depends on who's running the household. So more friendly places, the guys would kind of gather around and want to see their drawing, or they'd stay away from me because I was the foreigner, untouchable. It depends on the personality of the oyakata
Oh,
of the guy who owns the stable. Anyway, I got into this routine of if I'm going to be on the show today, I go to the stable where the guy of the moment is practicing, and I watch him, and I talk to him after practice. And one thing I learned to do is I never talk to him about sumo, and I never ask him. I know who his opponent is, and I know because I've been watching for so many years now. I know what he's like in the face of that particular opponent, or if he's even ever seen it before. But what I did was, because I always lived in a kind of Western style apartment, and I had a stove, and I could make American style chocolate chip cookies, which you can't even buy in Japan. I would make a bag of chocolate chip cookies, and I'd call Mr. Man of the moment over, and I'd say, I have some cookies here for you. Wow. So while he's stuffing his mouth with the cookies, I'd say, well, what do you think of the cookies? And we talk about the cookies. This was my MO. Are they too soft? Are they too crispy? How do you like them? I need some input, so the next time I make them for you, I can make them better. So we talk about the cookies, and I'm telling you, I could read the guy like an MRI from the way he talked about the cookies. My husband's been gone for many years now, but he would always watch me on the show. And told me like 99% of the time I called it right. And I'm no genius about sports. I was never interested in watching. I mean, I worked with baseball and football only because I liked the look and I loved to do the drawings of the players. But I don't care about the game. I never really paid attention to that. But with sumo, I understand every aspect, and I that was in all it's all in my artwork. I would say, when I was commentating on the guy who I'd been talking to in the morning, and maybe two guys, whatever, and I would say, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and he's going to win, or he's not, or whatever I said. I mean, I'm no genius. I just picked it up like through osmosis by talking to him and reading him,
As he was eating his chocolate chip cookies, you were taking all this in and thinking, okay, does he have what it takes to beat this one guy later on today? Oh, he obviously does. And you could just feel it. And then you would go on the air and basically give your prediction.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
not for each match that day, but for the guys I was talking to in person that day, and then other guys too, because I knew all of them. I saw them all in the space of a week. I probably saw just about everybody in the top division, and it's all up here. I never forget it,
Yeah.
and because I'm drawing it, so it's like if you make notes while you're at a lecture, you remember it because you've written it down. Same thing.
Same thing with art.
Yeah, but specifically, if there were, a few guys who were important at that moment, those are the guys I made it my business to spend time with that week and practice. So when I got on the show, I could speak to their state of mind, state of body, their state of confidence, whatever it is you need to know. I could speak to it with some reasonable experience having talked with them.
All through chocolate chip cookies and art. I
Yeah,
love
all about the
this.
cookies. I mean, they don't want to talk about their fight. They don't want to talk about whoever they're going to meet up that day. But whether or not they're nervous or cool or whatever it is, it would come through. And if they were really a wreck because they were meeting somebody they were terrified of, it showed the way they handled the cookie. Seriously.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And when they talked about it, their eyes would dart around. And you can pick up through body language and through facial expression and way people talk, whether they're a nervous wreck or really calm,
Yeah.
whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God. That is the last thing I thought you were going to tell me. And it's even better than anything I could have ever imagined. That is so brilliant.
I do this stuff by the seat of my pants. I'm an artist, so I do things that look and feel right. I didn't read a book. There's no book on how to talk to a sumo wrestler.
No.
I'm trying to write it. But
I hope you do.
But no, I really had no plan. I just did what felt right. I mean, I'm working with human beings. They have weird styles and they're a little heavier than I am, but they're human beings.
And you did it for 15 years, so you must have done it well.
Well, people told me I did it very well. I just had a good time. I mean, I've always enjoyed being on the stage. When I was in high school and college, I was Penny in Polly in Three Penny Opera in college, was star of the show, singing and dancing. I mean, I love to do that. And I wanted to go into Broadway. And I thought to myself, get real. You just went through 4 years that you have a portfolio. Go be an artist. Because I love the stage, and for 30 years I've given talks on sumo as a microcosm of Japanese culture, which sounds very dry, but people always laugh and have a great time. They always follow me out of the hall, still asking questions. Um, but I love, I get on the stage and I feel totally at home.
Mm.
So it was, an easy transition to do the TV show, and talk about what was my life, which was living with those guys, traveling with them, living with them. They were my whole life.
Who were the commentators that you worked with?
There was, of course, Mark Schilling is really good, but he's like an intellectual, kind of lives in his head, and it's hard to get him to say something. Also, he's a bit hard of hearing on one
Mm.
side, so he doesn't always hear everything, but he'll try to answer you anyway. So it's a little, you have to kind of elbow him once in a while, say, So, um, but he's a bottomless well of knowledge about sumo, and he reads and writes and speaks Japanese fluently, better than any of the other foreigners. Oh God, I can't think of their names. I thought you interviewed one of them, the guy from Australia,
Murray Johnson.
Murray Johnson, yeah, who
Yeah.
I love, he's a hoot, really nice guy. And oh, who's the Japanese guy? So friendly with him, I can't think of his name. But most of these people, I'm not really meaning to compare myself to anybody, but I can only do it the way I can do it. And the way I do it is I don't read Japanese, so I'm not reading the papers. I knew all the commentators because the journalists were always interviewing me, so I was always talking to them, so I could turn it around and ask them some questions. But they only have a superficial knowledge, and they're only writing what their readers want. I see these guys up close and personal every day. I travel with them. I was on the Rinjireisha, which is the sumo train, when I traveled for years on Jungyo, sumo tours, or all around Japan in the hills and valleys and everywhere. And they allowed me, it was crazy because the journalists weren't allowed, but they allowed me on the sumo train. And when we went through the mountains on tour for like, 7, 8 days at a time, I would sit on the bus with the sumo wrestlers and do my drawings. And I draw until I got nauseous, and I'd put it away for 15 minutes till that went away, and then I pick it up and finish the drawing. And so I have I have a great drawing of Kita no Umi, occupying 2 whole seats, hanging onto a seat on the bus. But I just, I kind of lived with them, and they were like my family. So it's just like talking about your brothers and sisters. So it was real easy for me. But I also was very careful not to say anything that would embarrass anybody or raise any questions, the wrong kind of questions. I had to be very careful of that.
Let's talk a little bit more about your artwork. Do you have some behind you that you're wanting to show off?
Oh, well, I have this one of Musashi Maru. That was always people really, when I was in Japan, people really liked this. It's I have some left. It's a limited edition print. If you look on my new website, which is lynnmatsuoka.com, I'm trying to get this in front of the camera so it works. I'm sorry about the it's
that's okay. Yeah, it's all about angles, huh?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, there it is. But anyway, this is Musashi Maru in Kyoto on tour. And he was laying down like that on the tatami, in between bouts. And so I sat down and started drawing him, and he kept saying, like a little kid, "Can I get up? Are you done yet?" I said, "No, don't move." He said, "Okay, I'm gonna get up now." I said, "No." And it took me about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to do this. I can't remember.
Wow.
But I kept begging him to stay still and don't move. But he's a real joker. He kept saying, "Are you get up?" No. So I got that done, and I turned it into a print.
It's beautiful.
But thank you. On the new site, I have a lot, not all of them, but I have a lot of my print series, what's left of them, and you can go in and buy one, and I'll send it to you. And you're anybody listening to your podcast, they use that. You told them about the Sumo code, Sumo 22.
Yeah,
they'll get a discount.
Yeah, if they use it by the end of the year, 2022.
Right.
Go to lynnmatsuoka.com and sign up for the e-newsletter list. And if you make a purchase, use that code Sumo22 and you'll get a discount.
I have a set of 5 sumo cards with a different image, akebono and all the, the golden age of sumo. Every postcard
Ooh,
has a different person on it, different painting. I'll send them one of those too.
ooh, great.
Well, there's a little banner over it, but it's a set of these cards that I used to sell at the Kokugi Con. I don't know how many are in here, but fun. So this is Akebono and Taka and Waka. This is
Beautiful.
Takanohana. These are my best paintings that I turned into cards. This is Musashi Maru. He's very regal looking, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Well, he will have you know he's half Samoan and half Tongan, and his Tongan relatives are all royalty. He'll have you know.
Really?
Yep. And this is Musashi Maru and Musashi Maru on the dohyo at the Tachiai.
So
And
gorgeous.
this is Akebono Dohyuiri. So people will get, a package of these cards. There's nothing on the back, so you can do what you want with them. So anybody who comes through your, your list will get these as well as the discount.
So I hope people will take advantage of that.
I hope so too. I have a merchandise gallery on my website where you can order a tote bag, and I have the tote bag. It's really beautiful. I've ordered them as samples, really heavy duty material, different sizes, and you can choose the image you want. There's sumo image, kabuki. I have dragons, and something else. I can't remember. Anyway, you can choose what you want for the tote bag. They make great gifts for the holiday season.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Yes. But the main thing that I've been working on, I've been trying to finish my memoir, but the main thing I've been working on is getting that, my son and I together hired a professional team to build the website, which works pretty well. I'm always tweaking it. But that's another thing, that if people just come in and sign up for my newsletter, come in and contact us, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll only get a newsletter when there's really news that you want to know. Or when I have a book signing, when the book is published. If you sign up, with your information, I will, once a month, I'm going to send out an excerpt from the book, which hopefully will
Ooh.
be done in 2 to 3 months. But I have some really sexy areas of that book. I mean, I send it out to what they call beta readers.
Yeah.
And, I'm writing it. It's my thing. So I think, yeah, who's going to like this? And people say, oh my God, it's amazing. Do you have more? I want to see more. So
Oh,
that's a good, yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to have anybody's input, but if they sign up for the newsletter, they'll once a month they'll get an excerpt from the book.
ooh,
Which
I'm
I
on that
guarantee.
newsletter list, so I want to
Yeah,
be a beta
right.
tester. I
So
want to be reading sexy sumo stories.
I'll send you something today.
Oh yes,
You
you
already
make my
signed up,
day.
right? I
Yes,
saw
I
your
did.
name.
Yes,
Your people sign up, they'll get that too, and
awesome.
I'll let them know when the book is published. They can come to book signings, they can get a discount on the book or whatever. I'll give everybody whatever I can give away, and I'll send them some postcards.
I love it.
So come on in. It's a brand new website, so it'd be nice to have this thing you can see back here. That's one of I do equestrian out here because there's no sumo, there's no kabuki,
Yep.
but there are horses. It's horse country, so I do a lot of equestrian work. That's on, and everything's on the website. Well, if somebody has a fave, like a dikshi that they really love and they don't see, ask me, write to me and say, but I really love so and so. Do you have something on him? Or if somebody wants a quick, affordable portrait of their favorite guy, talk to me. I'm always happy to make people happy.
Oh, that's great. You do commissions too.
Oh yeah, I do commissions. I mean, I do
Great.
$20,000, $30,000 commissions, but I'm happy to do a very affordable commission if somebody wants a quick sketch of their favorite guy or something important.
Oh, I love it.
Happy to.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for talking with us here at Sumo Kaboom, and we will get the word out about everything that
Yes.
you're doing because we want to get as many sumo fans over to you and loving your artwork as we possibly can.
Thank you. You're a wonderful support.